to welcome you to our Montgomery County Commerce Workforce Development Resource Program, which is hosted by the Chamber's Government Affairs Committees. We are so happy to have Dave Zellers and Jenny Butler with us this morning. And so I want to just acknowledge the folks that are with us and give a plug for an upcoming event before we kick off the program with them. So I'd like to recognize members of our Board of Directors and Government Affairs Committee that are with us. First, Mike Coakley is our Vice Chair from Kreischer Miller. Mike also serves as the Finance Chair for the Montgomery County Workforce Development Board as well. Nanette Carney from the Carney Group is our Executive Board Member. Suzanne Ryan from PICO is a Board Member and also Chair of the Monco Works and a member of our Government Affairs Committee. Dan Reevy from McMahon Associates, our Board Chair Emeritus, member of the Government Affairs Committee and former Chair of the Montgomery County Workforce Development Board. And Larry Burns from Horsham Township is a member of our Government Affairs Committee. So again, welcome and thank you all for being with us. I'd also like to acknowledge our visionary members this morning, Lisa Martin from Costco, Mike Coakley from Kreischer Miller, Dan Reevy from McMahon Associates, April Donahue from QNB Bank, and Liz Herman from Sherpa Financial. Again, thank you for your support as a visionary member. Would also like to recognize our sponsors for our government affairs programs for the 2021 is McMahon Associates, Kreischer Miller, and Harleysville Bank. And so I'd like to have Dan, if you'd like to say a few words as a sponsor for McMahon.
No, we're just delighted to lend support to the Chamber. It's part of our DNA of giving back to our local communities. McMahon Associates, believe it or not, it's going to be celebrating our 45th anniversary tomorrow. So we're going to have a big celebration virtually with Mr. and Mrs. McMahon. So we're excited about that. For folks who are not aware of what McMahon offers, we're a full engineering, transportation solution firm, civil engineering, architecture, design, construction services. I'm on the GIS side with the Tracer software system, which is a cloud-based asset management solution for predominantly municipal government, but we do also do some private work as well. So happy to lend our support today and giving a vehicle to our public sector friends to get their messages out. So thanks, Pam, and looking forward to a good program.
Mike Coakley from Kreischer Miller, would you like to say a few words on behalf of Kreischer Miller?
Sure, Pam, thanks. My name is Mike Coakley. I'm an audit director at Kreischer Miller. We're a regional accounting, tax, and business advisory firm serving privately held and family-owned businesses in this community, as well as not-for-profit organizations since 1975. So actually, we are celebrating our 46th year this year, Dan Reevy.
There you go.
We're also proud sponsors of this and other chamber events, and I'm looking very much forward to the program. Thanks.
I did also want to share that I serve as the local management committee chair and a member of the board for the Montgomery County Workforce Development Board as well. So that I enjoy working with Suzanne, Mike, and Jenny in that role. So just before we get started, I did want to just put a plug in for our next event. The next Government Affairs program will be held April 16th. And it'll be a town hall with our state legislators. So we've invited the state representatives and senators whose districts are in the chamber service area. So again, that's April 16th at 9 a.m. We've gotten a very good response. I think we're just waiting for one more individual to confirm, and we'll have just about everybody from the region available. So it'll be a great opportunity to hear about their priorities and have a chance to ask any questions that you would like to do with your state representatives. So with that, I'd like to reintroduce Suzanne Ryan, who is the Regional External Affairs Manager for PICO, and again, Chair of the Montgomery County Workforce Development Board, who will moderate our program for this morning. So Suzanne, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hey, good morning. Thank you, Pam. Good morning, everyone. We're pleased that you can join us this morning. We think we have a really good program today to provide you good information on what resources and services are available from the county. We're going to run this program where we're going to introduce Dave Zellers. He'll give some remarks, and then we'll allow some Q&A, and then we'll have Jenny Butler from the Workforce Development Board give her remarks, and then allow Q&A as well. So David, welcome. We appreciate you being here today. David is the director of the Department of Commerce in Montgomery County, and they are really the economic and workforce development arm for the county. And they offer a variety of services and assistance to individuals and businesses in the county. They have a great collaboration with a lot of stakeholders throughout the community, and really have been a terrific resource for our businesses. And David, for the last year, has been running point person, all things COVID, in the area of personal protection gear, a variety of different grant programs that the county has administered. David has taken the lead on all of that. He's built up a great collaboration with the various chambers of commerce and community agencies to ensure that the information and materials are getting out to those who need it. So David, thank you for all that you've done. I know it's been a challenging year, but you've managed to really be really successful in leading these initiatives. So thank you. And we welcome you here today to share some information that will be beneficial for our members.
Yeah, thank you, Suzanne. I appreciate that. It's good to see everybody this morning. I was a little worried for a second, since I know a number of you from our Workforce Development Board, that we were going to hit a quorum for the Workforce Board, but we're okay. No, I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk to all of you and share some things that are going on. And the best place to start is, what is the Commerce Department? A lot of folks still don't really know what we are or what we do or that we even exist. The Commerce Department was started in the early 2010s. I've been the Director of Commerce since August 2017. And my goal since joining the Commerce Department has really been to oversee a restructuring of our economic development delivery system in particular. I don't have to worry about the workforce system because we have Jenny for that. And Jenny is phenomenal, and I don't have to tell a number of you who are on our board how lucky we are to have her. She'll have a lot of great information for you guys as well. But really, for a county our size, we're the third largest county in the Commonwealth. We have a population larger than 4 U.S. states. We really need to have a sophisticated economic development system. And when I say economic development, that means a lot of things to different people. One of the best parts of my job, in particular as the Director of Commerce, is that I get to do many different things. My job some days is based on working with businesses. Some days it's talking about transportation planning issues or housing issues in the county. It's working with the Valley Forge Tourism Convention Board on the quality of life things that make this such a special place. And so what we continue to work towards is of overall restructuring. Right now, through that restructuring process, we're very proud of our redevelopment authority. They've taken on the lead for a number of economic development financing programs in the last several years. Most notably the CPACE program. This is a relatively new program, Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy Program. And what that offers is a low-term fixed rate or long-term low fixed rate financing for projects that are designed to improve the energy efficiency and other green sort of investments that you find in commercial and industrial buildings. And there's actually legislation moving through the state legislature right now to expand that eligibility to multifamily projects, which we're very excited to see is happening. That CPACE financing was just used. If you've been down to Conshohocken recently, you know they're breaking ground on a new hotel next to the new Amerisource Bergen headquarters. That CPACE financing was integral to getting that hotel project underway. And we also have our traditional economic development loan programs. Through the Redevelopment Authority, borrowers can access the Pennsylvania Industrial Development Authority portfolio programs. And those are state dollars that can be used for a variety of purposes for small businesses. And we have our Montgo Forward Loan Program, or as we sometimes refer to it, the county loan program. And that's a economic development loan program supported by the county's capital budget to make loans to small businesses. And that's a program that is, again, one of the things we've worked to restructure over the last few years. We're eager to get it rolled out into the world. We're eager to have our banks use it as gap financing in projects. We're eager to help businesses in any way we can to get some projects started. And believe it or not, even with the pandemic right now, we're having more meetings than ever about those financing mechanisms and other business systems, because a lot of folks are looking ahead. They're seeing opportunities coming out of the pandemic as well. Regarding the pandemic specifically, as Suzanne mentioned, over the past year, Commerce Department, working with public safety and public health, has led an effort to get personal protective equipment out to small businesses. We just wrapped that initiative up. Over 20,000 kits went out to different businesses and nonprofits in the county to support the safety of their workers and their customers, as well as our Montgo Strong grant programs for small businesses and nonprofits, which to date have awarded approximately $26 million in small business grants and nonprofit grants here in Montgomery County. And right now we're taking applications for the hospitality industry recovery program, which is a state-funded program. We have $9.4 million here in Montgomery County available through that program. So that will get us up to $35 million in small business grants once that money's awarded. And of course, as you all know, the American Rescue Plan was signed into law in mid-March by President Biden. So we soon are going to begin working on figuring out how best to deploy those funds that are coming to Montgomery County. We have two projects that are just starting now to help inform that effort. One is a research project we're doing with eConsult, and the second will be a survey project we're working with Franklin and Marshall's Public Research Center on to get feedback from businesses that receive grants from us over the past year, understand better what they might need now moving forward. So there's a lot of irons in the fire. And again, there are things that are also, again, have nothing to do with the pandemic that we're seeing more growth and opportunity in. And I'll pause there because I said a lot, as I tend to do, and be happy to take questions and have a nice dialogue with you guys this morning.
Dave, I have a question. Is there one place where small businesses can go to take a look at and see what all the available programs and sources of funding are?
Yes, the best place to start is our Commerce Department homepage, montgopa.org/commerce. If they can't find something on there, if they're not sure, we have a Commerce Department assistance request form. It's an online form. People fill it out. They send me questions all the time. The most common question we get is, how do I register my business? Pennsylvania is a little bit strange. You don't actually license or register your business with the county. You do it with the state and sometimes with the local municipality. But any questions they have, and that's that's a good question to ask, just to add something to what I remarked on. Economic development is an alphabet soup of things. So is workforce development. We know that. We don't expect you to know that. You don't have to know what all the acronyms mean. Come to us. We will help decipher them for you. That's our job. And that Commerce homepage is the best place to start. We are looking at building a more interactive homepage as well that make things a little easier for folks to find. Philadelphia deployed a really nice assistance finder tool late last year that we're going to rip off and duplicate, essentially, a little R&D, as they say, because it really is nice. And I think we want to keep. One of the things we've learned during the pandemic in particular, we want to do more to get people information faster. We also learned a lot, and we need to be much more aware of things like making sure we're providing information in multiple languages and that the information is accessible and digestible for folks when they're looking for any kind of support from us at all.
Dave, I do have a question I'd like to ask. So you mentioned that the hospitality industry grants are on right now. Is there a deadline for that grant, and how much funding is available?
Sure. So that program's a little different for us because it was funded by the state. The state had very specific legislation around that program. So we don't have a deadline per se, but we encourage folks to get their applications in as quickly as they can. The application window opened for us here on March 12th. As of this morning, we have about 300 applications we received. Applicants can apply for $5,000 to $50,000 in grant funds. Grants are awarded per the legislation in increments of $5,000. What will happen is this is a little different. Our usual Montgo Strong programs, we awarded money and you told us how you were going to spend it, and then you reported back to us. With the state program, it's money you've already spent as a business. So we're getting a lot of the documentation we typically would get after the fact. We're getting it now as part of those applications, or we're going back to folks who maybe didn't quite submit everything. And it's money that you spent from March of last year up to the date of application. We have to have, the invoice or the bill and the proof that it was paid, a canceled check, a proof of ACH transfer, whatever that might be. Again, that program specifically, per the legislation, is for businesses that fall under NAICS code 721, which is accommodations, and 722, which is food services and drinking places. And so the legislation says we do a rolling review and we keep the window open until we've allocated all of the funds. We haven't awarded any funds yet. We are hoping to start that process next week. We're not going to award everything all at once, but that's our goal with that. And we expect, we have to, by the legislation, have all the funds awarded by June 15th. We expect to have that done much sooner than that day.
And Dave, what's the usual turnaround time that you would expect if someone made application for that before they would hear?
Sure. So again, because this is new to us, and we've done these kind of backwards from this process. Like I said, we've had the application window open since March 12th. We haven't awarded anybody any money yet. Next week, we're hoping to have some awards. It really comes down to how thorough the application is when we get it. Some folks have done a really great job getting in everything that they're required to get in. Other folks we've had to go back to, we need clarification on this expense or that expense, or they didn't send in their W-9 or whatever it might be. And some folks regrettably didn't send any documentation in at all. So now we're having to go back and try and explain why we need that now and all those kind of things. So it's not really, I want to put a date on the turnaround time. It's somewhat dependent on what we get. But we are pleased at least that within a month of having opened the application window, we're going to have some awards ready to announce next week.
Great. That's great news. Thank you.
With the stimulus money that you're expecting, do you know if there's been consideration for additional grants for businesses? And specifically, I think I've asked you on behalf of some members for maybe gyms or fitness centers. Is there consideration that may be a possibility down the road?
There's nothing off the table right now with what we receive. So Montgomery County is going to receive approximately $161 million. For comparison, with the CARES Act, we received about $140 million. Now, we also have until 2024 to expend this money. If you remember with the CARES Act, originally we thought, oh my gosh, we have to expend all of it by the end of 2020. Then they extended that deadline on the 28th of December last year, which wasn't super helpful at the moment, but definitely gave us a moment of relief. So that process is ongoing. We're also looking at and tracking what the state might do. So we're getting $161 million. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is getting $7 billion, for comparison's sake. And there's a lot of conversation about how will they deploy those funds, when will they deploy those funds. This money, we're also still learning how we can use the money specifically. So there's Treasury guidance that is still coming out. Our chief financial officer at the county is working on that with consultants that we specifically brought in last year to help us with the CARES Act. Now they're going to help us with this recovery money. The goal really is, and through the research we're about to do, at least to gain a better sense of if there's gaps in what we haven't done. Also looking at where can we start to deploy funds to get folks back to work? Where can we deploy funds that the through line is there to help us really jumpstart and reinvigorate and keep growing our economy moving forward? So it's a delicate balance as to where we would land on all this, but it's still, nothing's off the table yet. Nothing's been decided yet. It's still pretty early days in this process. As hard as it is to believe it, I mean, this was only, it feels like it was forever ago. It was only 2 weeks ago or so that the president signed that bill into law. Time has such a weird flow to it these days for everybody.
Dave, I have a question and I have a comment. My comment first. I thought your execution of the PPE was outstanding. I thought including the Chambers of Commerce as a partner and all that was a stroke of genius, quite frankly. They have their boots to the ground, and between their membership and their leadership, we're able to get that critically needed equipment out to the public. So kudos to you and your team for coming up with that. My question is, moving forward with these additional dollars, Is there going to be a role with the chambers of commerce in that regard? And secondly, relative to the hospitality monies that are available, what are the criteria for our members to get access to that application and a consideration for funding?
Well, with the PPE first, let me just say I can't take credit for that idea. It actually came from a chamber, because another county nearby had done that, and they said, you know, why don't you guys look at this? And we wanted to include the chambers in some things, and I know Jenny included them in some things as well that she was working on last year also. So, you know, in my role, I recognize we're different here. In some counties, the Economic Development Organization is also a membership organization. It's also supported. Chester County is a good example of this. The Chester County Economic Development Council has been around forever. They have, you know, members and supporters, and it's a different structure. We're inside government, so you know, it leads to, you know, a need to look at things differently. We have a number of chambers in the county, as you all know, and they do have they are close to the heart of the businesses and things. And so, I mean, not to you know, make you guys feel less special. You're actually my first of 2 chamber events today, so I know how it can be. And again, part of my role is to support all of the chambers in ways that we can, and to partner with all of them. That has really been the partnerships over the past year. The acceleration of them, I should say. I mean, they were there before, certainly. That's what I'm most proud of, how folks rally together. Moving forward, I think, you know, that's something we're going to continue to look at. How do we accentuate the partnerships with the resources we have? I know, you know, Pam's been great. All of her counterparts are great to help us get that information out to the business community, to other leaders in the county. That we couldn't do that by ourselves. One of the things that we've learned, people. I'll give you an example. So the commissioners, they do a press conference every Wednesday, and today 1:30, it's on Facebook Live. And I always recommend people watch it. I watch it every Wednesday. They get about 300 viewers. Now, that's not, I don't want to say that's bad ratings. I mean, it's not an NCAA basketball game, obviously, you know, March Madness, but it's pretty low. So what we learned is there's good outreach, and the media covers it. And there's some fall, you know, but it's only one. You can't rely on one format, so to speak, to get information out to folks. They'll talk about the grant programs when they do the briefings. They talk about the immunization rates. They'll talk about, you know, all the COVID statistics that are going on. And it is important to watch. I really do recommend folks watch those briefings. And you can watch the video after if you can't watch it live on Facebook. But that's why we need those partners to help us get that word out. We have to find as many ways to catch somebody's ear or their eyeball so they can learn about what's going on. In terms of the hospitality program, so again, the way the state set this up, the first kind of checkpoint of eligibility is that you have to be in NAICS code 721 or 722. Then you have to be able to demonstrate a loss of at least 25%. And there's a couple different ways to do that. It's described in the legislation and in our guidelines. In gross receipts, so that's important too, in gross receipts from 2019 into 2020 because of the pandemic. Priority consideration is given to anybody who can demonstrate a drop over 50% or more in gross receipts. So particularly for this program, the hotels right now are the ones where we're really seeing that. You know, a lot of restaurants, it's interesting now that we're getting into this. A lot of them that we're seeing have applied, it's 27%, it's 28%, it's the low 30s. Still significant, of course. I don't want to diminish that, but this is a little bit different. And the other thing we've learned too in this program, again, I said we have about 300 applications. When we've done our programs, we get 300 in the first couple hours usually. We've had this open for almost 3 weeks now. So you kind of see that these state requirements are changing the nature of the applicant pool we have, and I think it'll change our award pool a little bit too. All the information for the program, the guidelines, the frequently asked questions, the link to the online application is all available. It's montcopa.org/PAHIRP. That's where all the eligibility, everything is. The one thing I will say about the program where the state is more flexible than we've been with some of our grants. Eligible expenses are anything that are, quote, ordinary and necessary business expenses. So that's a pretty wide swath of things that somebody could put in for that they spending money on over the last year. So again, I think that, and the award amount up to $50,000 certainly is very attractive for those businesses as well.
Great, thank you. Do we have any other questions for Dave? Okay. Dave, thank you. We appreciate it. We hope you will be open to possibly coming back in the future as the new stimulus money is, fleshed out and you understand what you're going to do with it. And thank you for your partnership. We appreciate that.
No, thank you to all of you as well. I really appreciate it.
Great. I'd like to introduce Jenny Butler. Jenny and I have worked together for many years. Jenny is the executive director of the Monco Works, which is the County Workforce Investment Board. And basically, the Monco Works matches up employers with the workforce, right? We're providing training opportunities for employees to develop certain skills. We're matching them up with employers who have needs. And I'm oversimplifying this, Jenny, and you can certainly add on to this. And the goal was to make sure that there is a qualified workforce pipeline so our businesses can thrive and succeed. And we also have programs available for dislocated workers. So, I think this is another extension of the Commerce Department, and we thought it would be very helpful for all of you to hear from Jenny on some of the good things that her team is doing throughout the pandemic. Morning, Jenny.
Good morning. Thank you all for having me. And for those of you who aren't either current or former members of the Workforce Development Board in Montgomery County, I'm just going to give a quick overview of the board itself, the workforce system, and some of the things we are doing now, particularly to benefit our employers and our job seekers here in Montgomery County. I am Jennifer Butler. I've been with the Workforce Development Board since it was the Workforce Investment Board for quite a few years now. We've been through some transitions over the years, but we are the Workforce Board in Montgomery County. There are 23 workforce development areas statewide. We are very fortunate in Montgomery County that our Workforce Development Board is under the umbrella of Montgomery County, that it is part of the Commerce Department. So we work very closely with our economic development partners. We do that in Montgomery County and throughout southeastern PA. It's always been critical, but never did I realize how important it was until this past year, as we have innovated our way to continue to serve our employers and job seekers throughout the pandemic. Right now, just to give perspective, we are looking at about a 6% unemployment rate in Montgomery County, which I'm very proud of. We were up almost to 14% this time last year. And that was a jump of over 11 percentage points in the course of a month. And never in all my years had I ever in my wildest dreams thought that could possibly happen, particularly in Montgomery County that has a very strong workforce system. We are working very hard. And one of the things I wanted to do today, so you can either apply it to any employment or workforce needs you have, or spread the word to our employers throughout Montgomery County, is talk about some of the ways that we can serve employers specifically. Our team at PA CareerLink Montgomery County is working hard every day. They are manually calling all, I think we have a total of 26,400 unemployed residents in Montgomery County that they are actively outreaching to offer services. One of the things we want to do at the same time is outreach to our employers and talk about some of the things that we offer. And I am going to add in the chat, and I know Dave, you were given the / for yours. This is another Monco PA / our page on recruitment services. So because we are part of Montgomery County's Commerce Department, the information that Dave was talking about, as well as the information that the Workforce Development Board offers, is all at that montgopa.org website. Our recruitment services for employers can range from very simply assisting an employer in registering on the PA CareerLink statewide system so that they can post any openings that they have, and connect to registered job seekers who are registering every day. Part of our outreach is to make sure everyone who is looking for work is registered on that system so our employers can find them. We can actually manually go in and match some of the skills that an employer needs to job seekers that live within the area to assist in that way. We have, particularly in this past year, really mastered the virtual recruitment event, using rooms to have little interview areas, that type of thing. So we can continue to do recruitment events, which we had been doing in person for many years. In terms of actual training assistance that we can offer employers, we do have funds available. We have ample funds available for on-the-job training. So if you know of any employer that is looking to hire individuals, we can assist them during that onboarding process, probationary period, while they are training that employee to meet their very specific needs. We can support a portion of that person's wage. That has proven, I think, particularly as employers are now looking to rebuild their staff and looking to do that with a somewhat limited pool of candidates. While we have a lot of folks that are unemployed, we're finding not as many as we would like are actually looking for work right now, and that has made it very challenging. So the on-the-job training program is really a critical piece to allow employers to hire an employee that may not check every box on their wish list, but that they can train up to meet their needs and get some support while they are doing that. We also very recently have seen a significant increase in requests from employers for incumbent worker training. That is training existing workforce around, right now it's been a lot of requests for customer service. And I think some of that is specific to some changes that have occurred over the past year around customer service. We've gotten some requests for supervisory training as employers look to make some changes within their own companies, promoting some staff to open up other positions. And particularly in the manufacturing industry, we've received a lot of requests for some production management, that type of thing. So we're excited about that, but do absolutely spread the word that incumbent worker training funds we can offer to offset the cost of training existing workforce. We also have a program that is not frequently used, but I think will be a benefit, particularly over the next year, and that is customized job training. If we have an employer that is looking to hire, it could be 5, it could be 25 employees that need the exact same skill, that we can support training prior to employment in that very specific skill. So there is funding available, there is assistance available, there is a team waiting at CareerLink to connect employers to job seekers, and we are available for any needs as they come up. If you know of any employer that is looking and they need a little handoff to CareerLink, I can absolutely please have them reach out to me directly. I will also add my email address in the chat. Feel free to reach out to me. I can make that connection. And if there's any questions, I can answer those now.
Thank you, Jenny. Actually, could you give a little plug for the what's so cool about manufacturing event and our expansion into the healthcare. You know, can you talk about that and what the benefit is to, you know, our employers and also educating the youth on job opportunities?
Absolutely. I would say, just reflecting back over the past year, our large scale manufacturing career expo manifest, I think, was one of the very first casualties I know of it of cancellations in Montgomery County, and Dave was there the day we had to make that judgment call to cancel manifest on March 10th of 2020. A decision that I'm so grateful that Dave made, because I think within 24 hours we realized it was the correct decision. But I think at the time I said, please no, because we had 1,200 students from across Montgomery County scheduled to come to the Greater Philly Expo Center in Oaks, being bussed in from every corner of Montgomery County to learn about careers in manufacturing. And the event the year before was so successful. It is an event that over the past 7 years now has grown from, I think the first year it was at Souderton High School. And it was an idea to present to students some possible careers. It has grown to the point of being a full-scale expo, and we look forward to 2022. I'm optimistic that we can bring some version of that back, really giving our students in Montgomery County the chance to have a hands-on experience with what a career could be like is the key for us to build our future talent pipeline. And we do that through the career fairs, in addition to Manifest. In 2019, we had taken that model of Manifest and duplicated it by having a healthcare career fair at Montgomery County Community College, a little bit smaller to get started, but we were heading to the Expo Center, I think, in a matter of a year or two. That also did not occur last year, but we'll be looking to re-envision that in the future. In the meantime, we are working with our youth provider, which is Montgomery County Intermediate Unit. We are working with members of the board that have expertise both in the manufacturing industry and education to work on more interactive virtual versions of some of the career events that we've had in the past that have not just included the career fairs, but have included internships, job shadowing, industry tours, that type of thing. So these are things that we are actively continuing in a virtual, not quite the same when it's virtual, but we are moving forward with virtual versions, but absolutely look forward to bringing those back as in-person events.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I think when we established these, they were based on feedback we were getting from the various industries of business, that they have a need for workers. So this is a way to drum up interest in, you know, at the high school level, to get students interested into going into those fields to help fill those positions, which are very well, you know, good paying jobs. So, you know, Jenny, if someone has an interest in starting something similar, if they're hearing from, you know, their other, you know, colleagues in a certain industry, you know, how would they get in touch with the Workforce Development Board to see if that's something that could be developed?
They could absolutely reach out to me. I think we had kind of added when we changed Manifest to Manifest and More, we had added in the building trades, because we had received feedback from some of our employers in the building trades that was a great idea, and they thought it was something that they would benefit from also. Obviously, prior to COVID-19, focus for our manufacturers, our building trades, has been building that talent pipeline, knowing that there were going to be significant numbers of retirements in the 5 to 10 year projection. We are still really trying to look at what the impact that early retirements due to the pandemic is going to have on that. But I know in Montgomery County, I'm proud of the fact that we were giving that forethought 10 years ago to try to start to look at ways that we could get more students at that time interested in these critical industries that are an integral part of Montgomery County's overall economy, and had been succeeding in that. One of the ways that we really measured that success was an increase in enrollment in these programs at our career technical centers, and that was happening. And so we are optimistic that whatever the impact has been over this past year, that it will be slightly diminished, maybe, due to the fact that we were giving that forethought through events like Manifest. So absolutely, if there is any particular, that's one of the areas where industry partnerships work so well. If employers from the same industry are gathering together and talking about similar issues, concerns. I mean, really, the idea for Manifest was presented to us by the Manufacturing Alliance of Bucks and Montgomery County, who obviously they convene around what their very specific needs were at the time, and we're looking at that talent pipeline. So any industry that is seeing a specific need, whether it be projected or in the here and now, we want to know and we want to work to come up with solutions.
Thank you.
Hey, Jenny, I have 2 questions. One, what is your strategy relative to the disabled workforce? And 2, what's the role of the community college here in Montgomery County with the workforce investment board and the work with the workforce in general? Is there some collaborations that are taking place still?
Absolutely. To answer your first question, which will also somewhat answer your second question, one of the big changes under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act of 2014 was the alignment of all of the components of our workforce system under one partnership that's part of the Career Link in Montgomery County. So the Workforce Development Board has some administrative oversight over the activity that occurs in the Career Link, but the Career Link is a partnership of multiple agencies, state agencies, local agencies, nonprofit organizations, some of which are mandated under their funding stream to participate, some of which participate because they see the value. Both the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation and Montgomery County Community College are partners in our Career Link system. So where the services that we provide specifically to our job seekers that present with a disability, or our job seekers that are in need of post-secondary education that would be best served through the community college, they have really a streamlined approach by coming through the Career Link.
Terrific.
Yeah, and I would also note, when I was talking about all of our services for employers, we also have training funds specific to any either dislocated worker. If an individual has been unemployed for any reason, particularly over this past year, we have funding available to help them retrain. And that can be through programs at the community college. It can be through other programs. We also have funding for adults, and that would be an economically disadvantaged adult or an adult that has a barrier to employment. And adults with barriers to employment do get priority of service under the board's priority of service policy for those training funds. Any program that is listed on the statewide provider list, which can be accessed through the PA CareerLink website, want to add that to the chat too. An individual can attend using funds available through our CareerLink system.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Jenny? Okay, Jenny, thank you. I think that was a very comprehensive and good overview of all the good services that the Workforce Development Board offers to businesses in the county. So thank you to you and Dave today. We appreciate you taking the time to share all this information with us. And I think key takeaway here is for the businesses, the county has a lot of resources available to support you, whether it be just in our day-to-day, low interest loan programs and the energy efficiency programs, to things that come up unexpectedly, like the pandemic. So it's a really good resource, and I would encourage you to be checking their websites, and also through workforce development, through Jenny's team. If you have a need for employees, you can seek employees on their training, a whole multitude of services. So please take advantage of the information that's available from them. And thank you very much for your presentations today. Pam, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Suzanne, and to Dave and Jenny as well. We really appreciate it. It's just a great opportunity to have you here to be able to give an update for the members. I did want to also just point out, you probably know we send out a weekly email every Monday morning, and we've dedicated a section to kind of government affairs, and there's a Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, and federal listing. And so under Montgomery County, whenever there's some information that Dave or Jenny sends to us that would be of interest to the members, we'll put a link there as well to make sure it's just another avenue that you can be aware of the information that is coming from both their departments. So again, I want to thank everyone for joining us this morning, and information there in the chat to be able to follow up. And you have a great rest of the week. We'll see you soon. Hopefully you'll be back on the 16th to join us for a talk with the state legislators. So, right. Thank you all. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.